Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the SU Gang Podcast, episode
16,
number
16,
15. Yes. Oh,
16.
16, 16. Sorry. Episode number 16. Today's Super Bowl Sunday. It's February 11th, 2024. Jesus Christ, we're already 2 months into our year. Um, we don't
And
have
the last
Bobby
game of the season.
and the
Yeah, we
last
don't
game of
have
the
him,
season.
unfortunately.
We don't have Bobby, unfortunately. Maybe he'll record a Super Bowl reaction for us. We'll see. Um, He already gave his Super Bowl predictions, but today we're going to be reacting to the NFL awards that have been given out a few days ago. And let's just see who's first on this list.
And NFL honors. Well, we can go out of order, and we'll also address Seattle's OC and DC have been hired. I'll be completely honest, I don't know much about them, but I'll just give my initial reactions to that news. And yeah, we were gonna do NFL honors before the Super Bowl picks, which is what I uploaded last night. You can go check that out. But it's just we recorded a little later than expected, so we decided to get the Super Bowl one out of the way. So that's that. But first up, I think this one should be one to start off with bang. Fan of the year, Tom Grossi. I think he easily deserved it. I've watched that guy for the last like 4 or 5 years. I found him especially in COVID, and I was able to actually have the pleasure of meeting him in his 30 and 30 this summer, when he visited Levi, and he raised 750K over the last year or so. And not only that, he's also done live stream charities that have accumulated to that. So that's part of the 750K. And there's just no one that deserves it more. He did one of the most ambitious things and in 30 and 30. And not only did he visit, he don't raise money for St. Jude, but he also traveled every stadium, and that gave the opportunity for every fan base to express themselves. They interviewed fans. You got to see every fan base and their culture and them being celebrated equally, which is great because we're all fans of our own teams, right, Mal? So like we don't always see
Yeah,
every single fan base's perception, maybe outside our own teams that are successful and our division rivals. So it was great to see that expansion, and it was a pleasure meeting him. It was a win-win for everyone, honestly. So one of the best ideas I've seen in a long time. There was nobody else that deserved it more than him, and hopefully, I honestly think that guy should just go take a vacation for a couple of weeks. He deserves it.
hmm yeah, he does. He works very hard, even in the off season when football. Well, when football starts to become irrelevant and just sports start to become depressing, he still works his butt off and still makes a lot of vids on like for example, he'll do
Drafting
like skits on like NFL
every fan's
fans
reaction
teams reaction. Yeah.
to the
Um
season.
he still does a lot of obviously drafts, free agency and all that stuff. So he's very involved. Even the smallest rumors he'll cover
He
them.
says he literally shifts
Um
gears. Like he's not even a big college guy, but he's like, bro, I then go immediately to start researching for the draft and do content for that.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
haven't
he
seen a
does.
guy work as hard as he does in a while. Like it's truly amazing what he does. And again, it was a pleasure meeting him this summer. It was very cool.
Yep. Yeah, he works. That's very nice, man. Um yeah, good for him. He
Yeah,
deserves
I
it.
mean, I wanted Norb Kalu. I can't pronounce his last name, but Norbcam, he's a good Seahawks YouTuber. I first found him when we didn't have Sunday Ticket before it was a thing. So if I couldn't watch a game in my area because I'm in the Bay Area and I want to watch a Seahawks game, I would tune into his live streams, and he and his dad would react to the games. They also do like shows and other stuff. And he had a thing on the Discord where you could even go in and chat with him and on the stream. And I also was in one of those, and it was a very cool moment. So he got nominated as Seattle's nomination for Fan of the Year. He's a Washington native, big Seahawks fan since the 1970s. His dad is too. So if it wasn't Tom, I would have wanted him. I just want to give an honorable mention to Norb, but the whole Fan of the Year also emphasizes being an impactful member to your community. And Tom, he was a nationwide impact, so he kind of soloed that aspect in every single remark. And even though he's a Packers fan, he's a channel anyone can like. Hell, even Bears fans love him. Bears fans love him, and that
Yeah.
is a pretty
Mhm.
hard thing to do if you are a Packers fan. You make a Bears fan like you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That
So
was
yeah, congrats
that
to
was good.
Tom Grossi, the GOAT. Next up we have I guess let's do MVP. Lamar Jackson. What do you think of that?
I was expected. I mean, I know people are gonna say Josh Allen should have won it, and to be fair, yeah, he probably should have. But at the same time, that Ravens team doesn't win as many games without Lamar. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it. We saw it last year with them and Tyler Huntley. Lamar is just, for the most part, outside of the AFC Championship game, he's a difference maker, and he's the reason. Well, not the sole reason, but he's one of the biggest reasons for why the Ravens were even in the AFC Championship to begin with. And I don't care if people think he's a running back or whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, would you rather go get first downs or go 3-0? Austin.
First downs.
Yeah, right. Even if it's with his legs, he's still getting first downs. They're still moving the ball. They're still moving the chains on offense. That's what matters when you're on offense, moving the chains and scoring. And that's what they did under Lamar Jackson. And that's what Lamar Jackson has done every time he's healthy. And he's managed to sustain a full healthy season. And when Lamar is fully healthy, he's dangerous. And we know that. And he deserves it. Look, Josh deserves it too. And I know it was a down year in passing, so I know people are going to look at the passing stats and be like, "Oh, this is not MVP numbers. MVP numbers are 40 touchdowns and like 4,800 yards." But
Yeah,
sometimes
I
you
want
don't
to
need.
point something out on notable MVPs in the 2000s. They've been top two in EPA or top three. Like if you look back at Peyton Manning's, etc. Lamar was not even in the top five. But again, I do agree with you. There was just a down year in passing. The fact that CJ and Sam Howell led it really shows that. And Lamar is still a very valuable component. We've seen how they are when versus when they're not a legitimate team with him or without him. Now they are resilient without him, but like they are a deep playoff team threat with Lamar, and he was still a good passer this season. So I just want to say congrats to him. But I think the slightly puzzling thing is he won by a landslide. Only he won 48-2. The only two other votes, I think one was to CMC and one was to Allen. I think it shows that the Niners Ravens game really fixed who the MVP was going to be. It kind of nosedived Purdy's MVP chances and made Lamar there. But I think it also shows that the MVP is widely a quarterback award and for a successful team as well. Because listen, Mahomes got it the year before, but he had stats to back it up. This year, they kind of just chose the one seeded, a very dominant team in the regular season and a quarterback. And I feel like you can make a case for CMC and Allen in the sense that Allen was a big part in one, he's a top EPA guy and finding the open guy along with Mahomes. And he also was a big part in pivoting them from a 5% chance at making the playoffs to a team that won their division. And he led in total yards and total touchdowns by a long shot. And he cut his interceptions down in the second half of the season and didn't throw a single pick in the playoffs. So I think in terms of a true MVP, I'm going to be biased and still say Allen, but I see why Lamar deserves it. So that's just me personally. I know Allen wasn't going to get it. I wasn't expecting him to get it. I just was a little shocked that it was such a landslide.
That makes sense.
And I think the defense also really helped Lamar, but I expected him to get it. But I just was again shocked by the landslide.
That makes sense.
So next up, offensive player of the year. This was a guy who was thought to be an MVP a little bit ago, like back in December, an MVP contender.
Yeah.
I think you and I both said Christian.
Yeah, CMC, man. Yeah, it should not be surprising, and no one else should have made it over him. Obviously, a healthy
I feel
Tyreek
like
is
Tyreek and CD
insane.
have an argument. Dak
I
was
mean,
also in the
yes.
finalist, but I don't think he deserved it. But I think CMC deserved it more than
I mean,
Tyreek.
CMC deserved it more than anyone. I mean, the fact that you get 21 total touchdowns and 2,000 all-purpose yards is just insanity. Like that's really hard to do. Like the amount of value that he brings to an offense especially when he's fully healthy, is insane. And shout out to my boy Wyatt Sword. But you remember when when he used to not like Christian McCaffrey? When he used to say like, "Oh, he always gets injured." Remember
Oh no,
that?
yeah,
I
that's
love.
true, and I think everyone did. And unfortunately, his injuries, I think, and White even said this actually in his reaction video, if you remember, Mal. He said that CMC plays like a Hall of Famer, and I agree with that.
Yep.
But again, I think his injuries and the fact that he's turning like 29 or something next year, like it's the aging could be a potential reason, and his past injuries is a potential reason why he doesn't make the Hall of Fame. I think he does. I hope he does. I think when healthy, he does play like that. But I think he has been very healthy with the Niners, and I think it's widely because of better offensive line, and they're not
Yeah.
forcing
That's
the
what I was
ball to
about to say.
McCaffrey as much. So
Hmm.
I think the injuries and age could be a concern. I just hope long term he makes a Hall of Fame at least
And yet
contention.
he's still putting up just as good, better stats with San Fran than the Panthers. I mean, granted, yeah, the Panthers also had DJ Moore, but like, dude, the Niners have way more. They have way more, and McCaffrey's still
They
doing
got
better.
Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, a better offensive line. I mean, listen, people
Hell, even
overrate the
Juszczyk.
Niners' offensive line, but it's better now. Yeah, Purdy and Juszczyk. Yeah, exactly. Juszczyk and Ricard are the best fullbacks in the league, bro.
Yep, 100%. I agree.
But
Yeah,
he
no,
does
CMC.
carry Purdy a bit. I think in the Packers game, he did carry. Purdy obviously made the right throws, but CMC was the one that scored and made the plays as
Yeah,
well.
no, CMC.
So he is equally valuable, in my opinion, to Purdy in terms of that team's MVP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. In my opinion, I thought he should have won MVP over Lamar. Just because you don't have a running back just score 21 touchdowns and get you 2,000 all-purpose yards for no reason. Like that is some
Totally,
true value
totally.
there.
And like I forgot, but I'm pretty sure he's first in total yards, first in rushing touchdowns, and I think without a doubt, also like yards after contact and stuff. All the major running back stats he's first. Running back stats, he's first. The issue is, though, we've seen Derrick Henry's 2K yard seasons, and that wasn't enough to win him MVP. So that's why I didn't think he'd win MVP.
Yeah,
Like, as
that's
sad as
fair.
it is, like, Henry was a beast. So I was like, I don't think CMC's getting it. But I think besides Allen and Lamar, he also deserved a very fair shot at getting MVP.
I think CMC he had more receiving touchdowns than DJ Moore.
I mean, he had 21 total and 14 rushing. So yeah, he had 7 receiving touchdowns. But like, some receivers don't get a lot of touchdowns, they just get a lot of receiving yards, and I think that's also
Oh wait,
very
no, he got
useful.
one less. He got one less receiving touchdown
DJ
than
got
DJ.
8. Yeah, that makes sense.
But he has more receiving touchdowns than Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet's a freaking red zone threat. But yeah, no, he's dangerous as hell, and I'm very happy for
Well,
him.
that,
He
that that
deserved it.
that's a different story. I don't want to get too off track, but I feel like Komet, he's a great red zone threat, but they don't always. I feel like he's maybe I'm just again, I'm probably wrong about this, but I feel like Komet's a little inconsistent in terms of sometimes how many targets he gets. Is that right or no? Because I feel like I see him get a lot of red zone touchdowns, or he just doesn't.
I mean, but he also had 700 yards, so that's not all red zone yardage either. If you think about
Well,
it,
yeah, but like, wait.
he's consistent.
I'm
He's
probably
consistent.
tripping. I probably just said a horrendous because I see like zero
No,
zero zero
he's
two 1 0 0 2 0 0. Like he either that's what I'm saying. He either gets a lot of red zone touchdowns or doesn't. He does still
yeah,
get
but
production, but
in
like
games where he doesn't get touchdowns, he gets yards.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, no, he's a pretty good tight end. 45 50. Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna be he's not a Mark Andrews, he's not a George
I mean,
Kittle, he's
yeah,
not a Kelsey,
but
but
he's top 10 in my opinion.
he can get you at least 40 yards a pop. Absolutely. He seems to get at least 40 to 100, well, 40 to 60 yards a game. Besides that Browns game and Lions game, he's been pretty good. And Chiefs, he's actually gotten you at least 40 yards a game. So he's good. Yeah. So
Okay, who's
sorry.
next on the
I hope that
awards?
makes my take sound better. I realized
No, no,
I said that very
it's all right.
badly at first.
We're
Okay.
poverty. We're poverty.
Okay. Next up, this is one I personally disagree with the most, and the most controversial one, because I actually think the awards weren't that bad this year. Besides this one, Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett.
Yeah, no, TJ should have won it.
TJ had 4 more sacks and I think like more pressures. I just think TJ got snubbed for a second year in recent memory. He got snubbed over Aaron Donald and now Myles Garrett. I mean, W to the Browns for getting comeback player of the year and defensive player, but I feel like Garrett got one MVP vote actually, like second or third place, but like, or I think last place. I'm not sure, but I don't think Garrett deserved it over Watt.
Yeah, no, that's
But
fair.
there probably there's
I
probably
mean,
some
Grant, that
advanced stats I'm missing here. I'm gonna try to take a little bit of a look here while you talk.
I mean, granted, I mean, I know people are gonna be mad, and he shouldn't have won it over TJ, but he's still a dog, man. I mean,
Oh no, absolutely. He had one, two, three, four forced fumbles. Well, he had one, two, three, four. They had actually had the same amount of forced fumbles as well. Like he is a dog.
14
I'm
sacks, 42 combined tackles, 32 solo tackles, 9 assists, 17 tackles for loss, 30 quarterback hits. Holy crap, he's still a beast
And then
regardless.
TJ has 19 sacks, four forced fumbles, one
One INT.
INT, 68 combined tackles, 20 assisted,
Oh, okay, yeah, he should have
and
won it.
19
That
sacks.
right there is just that right there is
Yeah,
already
I mean, he
for
had
him.
more assists and more dude, he had freaking 20, 26 more like
Okay,
combined tackles, and
maybe
he had 5 more sacks.
yeah. I mean, maybe they give him the award because the Browns have so many guys around them that he was still able to do.
I don't know what the Daquan Jones award, but he did win that. So TJ Watt walked away with some sort of hardware, but I don't know
Mhm.
what that award is. But good for him, I guess. But I think he should have gotten it. Now there is some advanced stats thing that favor Myles Garrett. I'm not as much of an expert, but yeah, I think it's sad. I think that's the most controversial one to say the least.
Okay.
And I think
Who's
Ross
next?
Stats, he deserved it. Okay, comeback player of the year. I disagree with this one, but not because of the Damar Hamlin controversy. Joe Flacco winning comeback player of the year. I think in a way, whether it was him or Baker, it does represent that comeback player of the year. Also, it seems like the voters like the fact that there is some um, coming back not only from an injury or just being a bad performance guy, like a career overcoming obstacle, but also playing well. And Damar actually got more first place votes, but Joe Flacco got more like second and third. So I think that overrode the voting. So it made it so Joe won. So I think again, it's a very split controversy, but I think the fact that Damar just missed a lot of games and was at most a special teams guy, I feel like his story is incredible, but I think comeback player of the year does require some sort of like at least playing decent. And we've seen it with Geno Smith last year. He turned his career around. Baker had a same thing. He had a career renaissance revival. And then Joe Flacco was also there. And I personally thought Baker should have gotten it because they made it to the divisional. And Joe was a bit of a turnover prone guy, but I'm not completely mad at this. I still think, though, should have went to Baker.
I mean, you're right. You don't throw for 4,000 yards in the season. I mean, Baker did have some bad games here and there, but you don't throw for 4,000 yards in a season and 28 touchdowns and win a playoff game versus a team that, yeah, they fell off, but they were in the Super Bowl not too long ago, right? You're still able to do that as an underdog. Um, but I'm not really mad at this one because I mean,
when
yeah, he may have
everyone
been
counted them out, by the way.
he may have, yeah, that's true, but I'm not necessarily super mad at this one because I mean, if it was Damar Hamlin, I would have been mad. But Joe Flacco actually like did something. Joe Flacco didn't run a fake punt on fourth down. Like that guy doesn't play special teams. He plays
That was the
offense. He plays
that was the
quarterback.
play
That's the
that was
stupidest.
I blame that on the play call, dog. That make a wish out play.
That
But
was
like
stupid.
but yeah, no, I that was legitimately, I was like, yeah, we're gonna probably lose this game. But that's a whole I ranted about that Bills game enough. But my point is I agree with you. I'm not mad at it. I disagree with this, not as much as defensive player of the year. But I'm still I think it could have gone either way.
I mean, yeah, but I know he's
Baker.
turnover prone, but the guy throws for 300 yards like every freaking game. And just think about it. He probably would have had like 17 picks, but he could have had like if he played the full season with that defense, dude, they're probably maybe 12-5. I mean, they were 11-6. It's not outrageous to say that they probably could have gone 12-5 or something. Dude, they went like Joe Flacco. I'm not mad at it because every time he played, every game he played, despite having at least one pick a game, he gets you like 300 to 400 yards a game with like 3 to 4 passing
He
touchdowns.
elevated
You don't
Elijah
do that.
Moore, Amari
You don't do
Cooper.
that as a 38-year-old quarterback that came off the couch. You don't do that unless your name is Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers or something. Unless you're Aaron Rodgers or something, like you just don't do that. So I'm very happy for him, and I'm glad that he won that award. He deserves it.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
he
so
worked.
I did miss one here. I said two awards went to the Bears. My bad. Three. It was I'm making the joke here because Tom Grossi and that other guy announced it, and the guy said Steven Stefanski, but Kevin Stefanski got the Coach of the Year award. Um, I some people are complaining that this is a blind robbery to D'Amico Ryans and Dan Campbell, but I'm gonna be honest, I think it should have been Kevin or D'Amico, and I'm not mad at this whatsoever because
Yeah, because of the
the
injuries
amount
and all
of
that stuff.
injuries they had to
Yeah,
overcome, I think makes it. I understand why he got this, and I'm not mad whatsoever that he got it. I think he deserved it for the adversity that he just had to work with.
dude. With
Like
Matt
Joe, by the way,
Eberflus,
plays a part, but I wanted to put Coach of the Year after Joe Flacco to also show kind of your argument on
yeah, no,
Joe
no,
getting comeback
coaching.
part of the year.
Good coaching means you have a good team, no matter the roster. Even if your roster looks mid as hell, even if like you see a roster and you're like, God, like there's nothing special
Remember
about this
Brandon
roster.
Staley
Yeah,
when Justin
he
Herbert got hurt,
sucks.
their team completely fell off. So this is the difference between guys like Brandon Staley and Kevin Stefanski.
Dude, if they had freaking Matt Eberflus,
People thought
they
it'd
would
be
have been
over after Nicholas
they
Chubb blew his knee out.
they would have been lucky to get 7 wins with Matt Eberflus. Like, I mean, the defense probably would have been good with Matt Eberflus if he was calling plays because he's a pretty good play caller. But I don't think
I mean, it
I
was a
don't think.
top three defense for the reason and the best passing defense until the second half of that Texans game for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah, for
he
sure.
deserves it, especially with
Yeah,
the.
no, congrats to Kevin Stefanski. I always really liked him as a coach. All right, we'll do a couple more here before we have to like end this segment. Actually, I think we can get through all of them. We got 8 minutes. So, we got let's do quick about this one. Cam Hayward, Walter Payton Man of the Year. I'm going to be honest. I did not really look deeply into Walter Payton Man of the Year this year. I never really care about it because all those guys who get it are always doing impactful stuff for their community, like Fan of the Year. So I think whoever gets it, it's kind of a win-win, you know. Um, you're doing chaotic good, as Tom Grossi says, and they always highlight all the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees on stage. So I think as long as you do that and then pick a guy, like I think honestly, I usually am never mad about who gets it versus doesn't get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, um, yeah, good for him, man.
It's same with Fan of the Year. It's just I think I cared about it more this year because it was Tom Grossi, and I think he far and away was the runaway favorite and should have won it, and he did.
Yeah, that's fair. Shout out to Walter Payton. That's all I have
Yes,
to say.
sir. Legend. Okay, next up, offensive rookie of the year. I'm not mad at CJ winning this either. Some people are gonna bitch and whine about, oh, it's a QB award like MVP. Why did you give it to Puka? Here's the thing. Any other year Puka would have won it, but we saw some generational create a player 99 overall talent out of CJ Himothy Stroud. Okay. And simply put, if he was healthy, he would have broken Andrew Luck's rookie records. I think Andrew Luck and I forgot the second place guy, but I
Justin
know he
Herbert.
got
Justin
yeah,
Herbert. Oh
Justin
wait,
Herbert. He or was it him? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, no, it was him, Justin Herbert, and Andrew Luck.
CJ. Oh wait,
Yeah,
yeah,
CJ.
yeah.
Oh, okay. It was CJ, Andrew Luck, Justin Herbert were all three generational rookie prospects. And I think CJ, if he
He
was
would have broke
healthy, he
records,
would have
both
broken
records.
all of them. Yeah, he would have broken both. And we saw Justin Herbert, obviously, rookie of the year, another generational guy, but I think CJ was the higher praised guy for a reason because we know he would have broken those records. So
Yeah, I'm very
big
happy
shout out to
for
him.
him.
And he went the longest streak without throwing an interception.
Yeah, and I'm
Rookie.
um he should have I wouldn't have been mad if either Puka
I
or
mean, Puka
CJ won it.
deserved a lot of second place, but I think you just got to give it to Stroud over Puka. Like, listen, Puka would have won it every
Yeah,
other year, and he broke records too. He broke receptions, touchdowns, yards. Like, I don't want to discredit Puka like at all. It's
yeah. I
just
wouldn't have been mad if
unfortunate you
either.
you have CJ. I
I would
still
have
would have
been
argued a little more for CJ, but again, I'm not mad at either of them. I just think CJ deserved it a little more. Okay, next up,
that's fair.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, this is one I truly didn't really know as much about. I think you could have made an argument for each and every single one of those guys who got nominated. Maybe not Deron Bland, because Deron, he got the record for pick
Burning
sixes,
coverage.
but he also got burned in coverage. The Seattle game, I think, really tainted his reputation. And he even was a defensive player of the year candidate, but I don't I think that's the only guy I would have left out of the convo. But I think Witherspoon, like Anderson, all those guys are beasts. So I'm happy Will Anderson got it. But I don't know, man. I just don't really have I don't have an opinion. I know
On the
you're going to talk
defense that
about
much.
Tyreek Stevenson. I know you're going to talk about Tyreek
Well,
Stevenson being
I'm not
robbed.
like I'm not well, he shouldn't have won it, but he should I mean, okay, Will Anderson, I'm not surprised that he won it. I expected him to win it. Let's take a look at some of his numbers. So this year he had one pass deflection, 7 sacks, 45 combined tackles, 29 total tackles, 16 assist tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 22 quarterback hits. That's pretty good. I expected him to win it. And in 13 games, mind you, in 13 games he
Wait,
did all that.
Devin
He
Witherspoon for
missed.
Seattle might have been second because this article says he beat out Seahawks rookie cornerback Devin Witherspoon for the award, and he overall topped the race of those two, Jalen Carter and Joey Porter. But I think there's a chance Devin might have been second.
Yeah, no, yeah, and Devin definitely should have been top two candidate, but
I think he was actually. I'm gonna look at the
yeah,
notes.
but the thing, Deontay Banks deserved more respect, and I feel like he's still getting more respect and more like recognition than Tyreek Stevenson. But
Absolutely.
The fact that Tyreek Stevenson got no recognition and had about as good of a year as Devon, like not better, but like just about as good. Look, 16 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 86 combined tackles, 65 total tackles, 21 assist tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Like you talk about a guy that went off and 4 interceptions. Dude, Tyreek Stevenson went crazy. As a matter of fact, I think he might have had more total tackles than Deontay Banks. Like, dude, this guy went off. And in my opinion, Joey Porter, he's good. He's really good. But Tyreek Stevenson's better. Tyreek Stevenson, in my opinion, top
He's
three
better than
rookie
who?
corner, top three rookie corner in
He's
the
better
league.
than who?
Joey Porter.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. I think he and Witherspoon are very similar. Also, in terms of voting, it was actually, I think, at least according to AP News, it was Jalen Carter second, and then Kobe was third, Devin was fourth. Um, I don't think it's a robbery because Witherspoon missed some time, but I think what he did in like 15, 16 games is huge. I didn't expect him to win it. I'm not as mad at him like not winning it over Tariq Woolen. You know what I mean? But um, I don't know.
Yeah,
Congrats to Will Anderson, but I'm not, as a Seahawks fan, I'm not as mad that Witherspoon didn't win
he
this year
didn't
as
win.
I was last year with Tariq Woolen, who got second. I think last year was really a lot of East Coast bias towards Sauce
Dude,
Gardner.
one pick, 10 flash deflections, 43 combined tackles, 32 total tackles, 11 assists, one TFL. Dude, this guy was a higher ranking defensive rookie of the year candidate than Tyreek Stevenson, and he played more games
Are
than
we talking about
Tyreek Stevenson.
Witherspoon
No, I'm talking about Porter,
and
and
Porter?
he put up less tackles, he put up less pass deflections, he put up less interceptions, less forced fumbles. Yet this guy gets way more recognition over Tyreek Stevenson. I hate the Bears because our players will always be so underrated because we're so poverty and no one will ever watch us and no one will ever recognize our good players ever. Like it's actually blasphemous that he didn't even get recognition. Like at least give him some of it because he went off.
I agree with you. I think it's bullshit. I saw his stats and was like, damn, those are really similar to Witherspoon. But anyway, congrats to Will Anderson Jr. Also, Seattle
Will
hired
Anderson.
Ryan Grubb and the
Mm,
UW OC, who was supposed to go to Bama with the UW head coach to replace Nick Saban, and they hired
nice.
Aiden Durd, the Cowboys D line coach. If McDonald continues to call defense, I think it's a very good pickup. And I think
Yep.
the UW. I heard Ryan Grubb was a higher guy, so I wanted him a little more. But I don't know. I don't really know much about him, but that's just some news that happened. I think they're solid hires. I just hope Ryan Grubb works out because I feel like a good OC is really needed to pair with
McDonald's play calling.